I am a huge proponent for not working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. And I know that's especially hard in your world because that's when your clients expect you to work. So let's jump right in. Before I start the framework, I want to give you a little bit of an insight into who I am, how I think, and how I approach these things in life. So there's 4 truths. You've probably heard all of these from one book or another. There's nothing new. You're just re-saying stuff other people have said here. But I think it'll be powerful in helping have the right framework or mindset going into this. So the first truth is determinism. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, it's up to you. You get to decide that. And I've heard this a lot of ways, but one of the ways that really stood out to me with this is when an author is writing a book, a fiction book, a story, they get to decide how that story turns out. And our life is the same way. We get to make all of the decisions. Now, we don't get to control what happens to us, but we always get to control how we respond to that. And this framework is going to allow us to direct our life based on what happens to us towards the direction we want. If you haven't subscribed, click the subscribe button below so that you know every time I upload a new video so you can be encouraged and equipped to build your best life. So I believe whether we think we can or we think we can't, we get to decide that. The second truth is that limitations in your life are going to show up both in your personal life and your professional life. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in work-life integration. If we try to balance our life, we're always going to be out of balance, and then we're always going to feel like we're failing. And so if we can be successful in our professional life, the same habits that are making us successful there should be able to translate to our personal life and vice versa. And the opposite is true. How many of you guys have had terrible experiences going on, tons of stress in your professional life that's drifted over to your personal life? And how many of you guys have had rough, stressful situations going on in your personal life that's drifted over to your professional life? Yeah. So it's important to be successful and intentional in building our capacity in both. Third thing, life is hard or life is hard. Notice I didn't start with this, right? Because you would have probably been like, can you leave? Like, no one opens up a personal development talk with life is hard or life is hard. But let's think about it. To be all of the things that Tara just listed right there, if that was your life where you're just always stressed out all of the time, and I'm not saying you are, but like if that was the case, that's a pretty tough life, right? Like, that sucks. No one wants to do that. The opposite is true, though, too. I tell the story in the book. So Adam Bergenrother lives in Vermont. I was with him and Reed in Coeur d'Alene, and I'm sitting there in this room, and I'm listening to them talk, and they were like in their triathlon mode, where they're like, you know, all right, let's go out for a 120-mile bike ride tomorrow morning. I'll meet you at 4 o'clock, and before that, I'm going to go and swim across Lake Coeur d'Alene and back. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, these like superhuman, over-the-top, disciplined people, like that's hard too. To have that much discipline, that's hard. But which life do you want to choose? Which hard do you choose? You get to decide that. And then finally, this is where I get everyone back after I told them life is hard and life is hard. Working more or doing more does not mean working more hours. I am a huge proponent for not working 7 days a week, 16 hours a day. And I know that's especially hard in your world because that's when your clients expect you to work. Something we've implemented in my organization, have you guys ever heard of the book 12-Week Year by Brian Moran? So we use that for our planning. We do 12-week plans. And the interesting part about that is it aligns with quarters almost, but quarters actually have 13 weeks in them, right? And so the first week of the quarter, we cancel everything in our office because the idea is that you're celebrating what you won last quarter and you're planning for the next quarter. And that gives a season of rest. And so I believe you can work smarter and not have to work more hours and get better results. And I talk about that in the book, but I think this is so extreme that if you're working 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week consistently, there's seasons for that, but consistently, I think you're cheating. I think you're taking the easy way out and we can be smarter and figure out a way. And I'll talk a little bit more about that.